Hello again and welcome to DanWhiteBooks, the book review channel where we add insights into the worlds of literature for both those who do read and those who don't. If you've been with the channel for many years, you may be aware that for the past 4 years I've reviewed the Booker Prize winner for that year. The Booker Prize is quite the prestigious award in literature and pushes me into unknown depths. These are often books that I would not typically pick up off a shelf. I feel it necessary from time to time to explore that which is new. Last year's book, The 7 Moons of Mali Almeida, was no exception to this. Fast forward many months and here we are, and I'm somewhat delayed, but nevertheless, better late than never, as the expression goes. Today I'll be reviewing the Booker Prize winner for 2024, and that is Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. For those who know me and indeed know this channel, dystopian books are my favourite genre in literature. I've read a great many, including the classics like 1984 and Brave New World. I will soon be doing a deep dive into Fahrenheit 451. But all of that aside, I'm mentioning the dystopian genre of writing because that's what this book is. However, unlike the vast majority of dystopian books, this one starts with a society that is very familiar to our own. It's set in a modern time, and instead of waking up and living in a dystopia, we see one slowly emerge around the central characters. Prophet Song tells the tale of a family growing up in Ireland in the city of Dublin. It centralises around Eilish, who is the mother of 4 children, each of varying ages. No doubt this is done deliberately by the author, as each child reacts to the changes around them very differently. Their emotional reactions and Eilish's struggle to keep order are hallmarks of this work and create a very intense and intimate story between the reader and the family members. Eilish lives in a small home with her husband Larry, who is a union leader and the first to feel the pressure of the new regime. Tensions in Ireland have led to the elected government receiving emergency powers. This leads to the abolition of certain freedoms and the removal of figures in institutions. All it takes is a single moment for freedom to be lost and a lifetime to regain it. The freedoms established in Ireland are indeed taken away, and in what appears like a heartbeat. The tale begins with Larry receiving a call from the GNSB, the Government National Security Bureau. They question his involvement with a planned workers' strike, setting the tone for what's to come. Slowly, an iron fist descends upon Ireland, yet despite his reluctance, Larry joins the protest. However, to Eilish's dismay, he does not return home. The images on the news show the brutality and suppression by the regime. No one expects this reaction and is shocked by how their civil liberties are slowly eroding. After this moment, fear and uncertainty surround Eilish. She wants the best for her family, yet deep down knows they may no longer be safe. Eilish's struggle to keep order with her kids and maintain control over her family is expertly portrayed in this work. As a reader, you get to know Eilish on a personal level and sympathise with her motherly instincts. She is trying to make everything seem fine, but the events around her say otherwise. She wants so desperately to protect her children and is often in denial about what is best to do. She is a mother, one missing her husband and one losing a grip on her children. It is saddening to watch her struggle, yet it proves to the skill of author Paul Lynch. With Larry missing, the family struggles to stay together. The regime begins to seep into every aspect of daily living, and fear and paranoia plague the streets. At work, Eilish's boss is replaced with someone more obedient, and on the streets, division occurs. There are people for the regime, and there are those against it. Those who reject the established rule begin to face persecution from others. When Eilish's eldest son, Sam, hides from the military draft, he and all others who do the same are publicly ousted in the national newspaper. This leads to people vandalising Eilish's car and property. Eilish feels afraid and isolated in the country she grew up in. There are 2 things that are fantastic in this book. The first is the perspective. As I mentioned, you see through the eyes and hear the thoughts of a mother desperately trying to provide for her family and keep them safe. Whether Eilish succeeds or fails in this role is for you to decide. Eilish's reluctance to leave Dublin has dire consequences for her family, but she is torn between 2 places. She does not wish to abandon what she has already lost. She lives by hope, And maybe that is her downfall. It's almost unthinkable what people will do when they believe their stance is right. In fact, you could say it's almost unbelievable. This disbelief is why Eilish stays. She wants to believe people are better. She cannot comprehend how they are worse. I won't be spoiling this book for you, so please pick up a copy and come back here when you've read it. There are affiliate links in my video description. Eilish's choice to stay is made out of love, but it is not in her best interest. Slowly the regime becomes ears and eyes that listen on every corner. Picture the scene where neighbours report you, where your voice is silenced, where you cannot object despite widespread injustice. This neatly brings me to the next fantastic feature, and that's the timeline. This book doesn't start in a dystopian society, rather it progresses into one, capturing the struggles of civilians as their world unravels. Slowly this dystopia is brought upon you, and Paul Lynch expertly captures the everyday struggles a family may face. Inflation rockets, food is scarce, and electricity falters. Every comfort we take for granted slips away, and if you dare stand up and fight, you may lose more than you could ever know. This book has a slow start despite my praise here. It took me a while to get hooked on this one. Looking back, I understand why it starts so slowly. You're introduced to the characters, to their routines, and to the gradual changes of society around them. Once this foundation is set, the book speeds ahead and keeps you glued to the page. It tells a tale of humanity in a world that appears devoid of it. It is a stark and brutal reminder of vigilance. This does happen, this can happen, and no society is immune to it. If you ever feel you are unable to talk about or critique ideas, ask yourself why. Oppression can start slow, but once the ball is rolling, it moves fast, and before you've blinked, freedoms are taken, and then they are forgotten. I believe great authors write from a stance of empathy. They bring you down to a level where you can see and feel the struggles and turmoil of others. They make you empathetic to a situation, to a person, to a choice. There is no doubt that Paul Lynch has achieved a level of empathy here that so few can create. He's made me see how a family can so desperately struggle in a country ravaged by civil war, even in the small things you'd never think of. He's made me see how good can be so quickly replaced with evil, and he has stoked emotions through my veins that mix both sadness and anger. This is a fantastically written book, and in the top tier of dystopian books I've read. Big Brother may always be watching, but the real question is, are you looking back? My friends, thank you very much for watching another book review with me here today. If you'd like any information about this book, please see the video description below. The book I'm reading next week is a bit of a change. It is another dystopian book. It is The Running Man by Stephen King. So please join me here. Hopefully in 2 weeks where I'll be reviewing that book, and again there'll be links down below. I appreciate all your support and consider subscribing if you did enjoy this book review. Thank you very much. Bye bye.